He confessed, on camera, to the whole world, and nobody caught it. Not a soul. Not in a courtroom, not under oath, not in some leaked phone call at 3 in the morning. He did it in a song. He did it in a petition. He stood in front of millions of people, pointed his finger at Kendrick Lamar, and described with surgical precision exactly how someone could buy billions of fake streams, manipulate an algorithm, and build an empire on digital air. Every mechanism, every detail, every moving part. He gave the whole blueprint away. And then, 30 days later, a federal RICO complaint landed in a Virginia courthouse carrying documentation that suggests every single word of that accusation was a mirror, not a window, a mirror. He was not describing Kendrick, he was describing himself. And now, 3 states, 2 federal judges, and a trail of wire transfers stretching from Toronto to Sydney are about to prove it. But we are not starting there. That would be too easy. And this story does not deserve easy. We are starting with a man you have never heard of, a man living 12,000 miles from any recording studio, any billboard chart, any red carpet, a man in Sydney, Australia, whose name was buried so deep inside this operation that it took a federal investigation to dig it out. His name is George N. Gwynn. Remember it, because by the time we are done here, you will understand that this one person, sitting in a suburb on the other side of the planet, allegedly held the keys to the most elaborate streaming fraud in the history of recorded music. And the person who allegedly handed him those keys is the most streamed rapper alive. Now, before I lay out what connects Drake to Gwynn, you need to understand something that almost nobody in the media is explaining properly. You need to understand the machine. Not the music machine, the actual machine, the algorithm. Because without understanding how Spotify's recommendation engine works, none of what follows will hit the way it should. Every single time you press play, skip a song, save a track, or let something loop while you drift off to sleep, Spotify is recording it, not passively, aggressively. It feeds billions of these micro behaviors into a predictive model that maps your musical taste with a level of precision that would make a surveillance agency jealous. Then it uses that map to build your Discover Weekly, your Release Radar, your daily mixes, every playlist that feels like it was handpicked by someone who lives inside your head. For the millions of casual listeners who never actively search for new music, this algorithm is not a feature, it is the entire experience, the only door between an artist and an audience. If the algorithm does not open that door, the song sits in the dark, forever. No second chances, no appeals process, just silence. Now imagine you figured out how to kick that door open from the outside. Imagine you discovered that if you flood a track with enough fake plays, the algorithm cannot tell the difference between manufactured momentum and organic demand. It sees the spike, it does what it was programmed to do, it pushes the song onto curated playlists, it serves it to real listeners. Real people start streaming it because the system told them it was popular. And just like that, the lie feeds itself, a self-sustaining loop where fraud becomes indistinguishable from truth, and the algorithm becomes an unwitting accomplice to its own corruption. That is not a hypothetical. That is not some conspiracy theory floating around Reddit at 2 in the morning. That is the exact allegation sitting in a federal courthouse right now, documented with financial records and named defendants. And the name at the center of it all is Aubrey Drake Graham. But here's where I need you to pay very close attention, because the way the money moved in this alleged operation is something out of a crime thriller, not a music documentary. Drake had a deal with Stake, an online gambling platform. Public knowledge, splashed across Instagram, live streamed to millions, contentified into clips that racked up views across every platform on the internet. The deal was reportedly worth $100 million per year. Let that land. $100 million annually to be the face of a gambling website. Drake would go live, play high-stakes games, react with visible shock to massive wins, and millions of fans, many of them young, many of them financially vulnerable, would watch their favorite artist risk it all and walk away richer. It looked real. It felt aspirational. It seemed like the kind of life you could manifest if you just played the right hand. Except, according to the federal complaint filed in the Eastern District of Virginia, every bit of it was theater. Elaborate, expensive, meticulously produced theater. The lawsuit alleges Drake was playing with secret house credits. The money was never his. The risk was never real. The wins were choreographed. Every stunned reaction, every fist pump after hitting a number, every moment a viewer at home thought they were watching authentic high-stakes gambling was allegedly a scripted performance designed to extract real dollars from real people, while Drake collected a guaranteed 9-figure check regardless of what happened on screen. And the specific moments documented in this complaint are haunting. Stake-branded clips showing Drake hitting roulette numbers in sequences that would make a statistician lose their mind. 0, 10, 23, 11, 11 again, 11 a third time. Consecutive hits, on camera, clips that are still circulating right now. The kind of streak that has a probability so microscopic it practically qualifies as mathematical fiction. Those clips are not content anymore. They are exhibits waiting to be entered into a federal record. And once you know what this lawsuit alleges, once you understand the full scope of what these filings describe, you will never watch another one of those videos without feeling something cold and heavy shift in the pit of your stomach. But here is the turn that most people covering this story have completely missed. The gambling was not the point. The gambling was the plumbing, the infrastructure, the financial tunnel system for something far more ambitious than rigged roulette spins. Stake had a tipping feature. Looks innocent. One user tips another some virtual currency, a friendly gesture built into the platform, the kind of thing your eyes slide past without registering. The federal complaint has a different name for it, an unregulated money transmitter operating entirely outside the reach of any financial oversight body on Earth. And fresh data from YieldSec, a gaming intelligence firm, now places this within a $38 billion illegal crypto gambling ecosystem that controls 74% of the total United States online gambling market. Drake was not allegedly operating in some gray area at the margins. He was allegedly sitting at the beating heart of a shadow financial network so massive it makes the regulated industry look like a corner store. Here is how the pipeline allegedly moved. Funds traveled from Drake through Stake's tipping system to Adin Ross, the streamer who is now a co-defendant in this federal case. The complaint documents a specific tip of $100,000 from Drake to Ross on the platform. Those funds then allegedly crossed the Pacific and landed in the hands of George Nguyen, the man in Sydney, the man who does not rap, does not sing, does not appear on any chart or stage, the man you were never supposed to know existed. Nguyen allegedly converted those stake-sourced funds, cycling between cryptocurrency and cash, and used the money to purchase something that does not exist in any legitimate marketplace: bot farms. Hundreds of millions of fake streams, engineered with surgical precision and injected directly into Drake's Spotify catalog. And this was not some amateur operation running out of a basement. The complaint describes Nguyen as an operational broker who interfaced with bot vendors, coordinated amplification strategies, managed crypto to fiat conversions, and integrated paid clipping campaigns that simultaneously boosted Drake's music and promoted the gambling platform. A professional, multi-continent supply chain of digital fraud stretching across hemispheres and time zones, operating with the kind of organizational discipline and compartmentalized structure that explains exactly why this complaint invokes the Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO, the same legal weapon that was specifically designed to dismantle the American mafia, now aimed at a rapper in Toronto, a streamer in Florida, and a man in Sydney that nobody was ever supposed to find.
And here is where it gets truly devastating. The lawsuit does not just allege the bots inflated Drake's numbers, it alleges they were simultaneously weaponized against other artists. Coordinated campaigns to disparage, downvote, and algorithmically sabotage competing musicians every time they released new music. An invisible digital army manufacturing narratives of failure around anyone who threatened Drake's chart position. Stop and think about what that means. While real artists were pouring their lives into their craft, trusting the system to give them a fair chance, there was allegedly a shadow operation working around the clock to make sure the playing field was permanently tilted. How many careers were quietly suffocated before they ever had a chance to breathe? How many songs that should have been cultural moments were strangled in algorithmic obscurity because their playlist slots were already occupied by artificially inflated tracks? How many independent musicians stared at dead dashboards, questioning their own talent, never knowing the system itself had been hijacked from the inside? That's silence, the deafening, soul-crushing silence of careers that were never allowed to exist, voices that were never allowed to be heard, dreams that were algorithmically executed before they could take their first breath. That might be the most damning evidence this case ever surfaces, and it is the one thing no courtroom can quantify. Now let me show you the legal siege that is closing in, because this is not one problem. This is a coordinated assault from multiple directions, and every exit is being sealed shut. The Virginia RICO case is the centerpiece, filed December 31, 2025 by plaintiffs Lashana Ridley and Tiffany Hines through the Impressa Legal Group, seeking at least $5 million in compensatory and punitive damages across 3 claims: racketeering enterprise, RICO conspiracy, and Virginia Consumer Protection Act violations. A federal judge issued a binding order on March 24, 2026, giving Drake and his co-defendants 21 days to formally respond. Initial motions and responses are now tracked for June 2026, with a motion hearing slated for July. This is moving, actively. Missouri filed next, a parallel class action making nearly identical allegations about stake and Drake's role. Then New Mexico, where plaintiffs Nathaniel Torres and Rory Mitchie filed separately, accusing Drake and his associates of luring them into gambling real money through celebrity endorsements that concealed the platform's true nature. 3 states, 3 legal teams, 3 independent sets of plaintiffs, all converging on the same conclusion from different directions. That is not a coincidence. That is not bad luck. That is a pattern recognition event that should send a chill down the spine of every person named in these filings. And Drake's defense team has already shown their hand. In New Mexico, his lawyers moved to force the case into private arbitration, arguing that plaintiffs agreed to Stake's terms of service, which include a clause banning class action participation. They want this removed from public court, away from discovery, away from journalists, away from you. Think about what that posture communicates. Sit with it for a moment. Someone who welcomes transparency does not spend legal resources fighting to move proceedings behind closed doors. Someone who believes the facts are on their side does not try to muzzle the process before it starts. That is not the posture of innocence. That is not how the innocent behave. That is the strategy of containment, damage limitation. Seal the vault before anyone catches a glimpse of what is stored inside. But it gets worse for Drake, because the case that lit the fuse predates all of this. In November 2025, veteran West Coast rapper RBX filed a class action against Spotify itself, claiming not millions, but billions of Drake's streams were fraudulent. The suit accused Spotify of willful blindness, with language that still reverberates. Every month, under Spotify's watchful eye, billions of fraudulent streams are generated through fake, illegitimate, and illegal methods. RBX diagnosed the disease. Virginia named the patient and the doctors allegedly running the operating room. Together, entertainment attorneys are privately calling this the most dangerous evidentiary combination any artist has faced in the streaming era. One proves industrial-scale fraud exists. The other allegedly identifies who paid for it and how the money moved. That combination is the kind of thing that makes defense attorneys cancel vacations indefinitely. Now, here is the moment that makes this story feel scripted by the universe itself, because the irony is so precise it almost feels orchestrated by something larger than any courtroom.
Late 2024, Drake files a formal petition against Universal Music Group and Spotify. His target is Kendrick Lamar. His claim is that Not Like Us, the most culturally significant diss track in a generation, achieved its numbers through bot manipulation. Drake describes the mechanics of streaming fraud with granular specificity, how fake accounts game the system, how artificial plays can fool an algorithm. He points across the aisle with absolute certainty and demands accountability. October 2025, dismissed. The judge found it legally deficient. No financial records, no wire transfers, no named intermediaries, no communication logs, nothing connecting Kendrick to any fraudulent infrastructure, just accusation dressed up as analysis. The court saw through it in seconds. But here is the part that should physically stop you. Every piece of evidence Drake failed to produce against Kendrick is now sitting in the RICO complaint filed against Drake himself. Named intermediaries, financial records tracing specific dollar amounts through specific platforms to specific vendors in a specific country, documented communications, data showing billions of suspicious streams flooding one artist's catalog during specific timeframes. The receipts are sitting on a judge's desk. Drake drew the map. He labeled every landmark. He handed it to the world. And he apparently did not realize he was charting his own territory the entire time. He described the crime to the world with the confidence of someone who understood every gear in the machine. Then evidence arrived suggesting he was allegedly the one operating that machine the entire time. That is not irony. That is the kind of cosmic correction that makes you question whether the universe itself keeps receipts and whether karma has a legal department. And since then, just days after Drake posted yet another steak advertisement on social media, seemingly unbothered, the contrast with Kendrick Lamar has only sharpened into something almost unbearable to witness. At the 2026 Grammy Awards, Kendrick Lamar did not just win, he made history. 5 awards in one night. Best Rap Album for GNX, Record of the Year for Luther alongside SZA. He broke Jay-Z's long-standing record to become the most decorated rapper in Grammy history with 27 career wins. 27. Then weeks later, he swept every hip-hop category at the iHeartRadio Music Awards. Hip-Hop Artist of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year. A clean sweep across 2 of the biggest award ceremonies in music, accomplished without a single wire transfer to Australia, without a single bot farm, without a single manipulated algorithm, just music that landed because the culture decided it mattered, organically, authentically, permanently. The contrast between these 2 trajectories is no longer subtle, it is violent. One artist collecting historic trophies earned through cultural resonance you can feel in every barbershop, every classroom, every car ride where someone turns the volume up because the bars demand it. The other, quietly assembling legal teams across 3 states while posting gambling ads between court deadlines. Duncan Levin, the Harvard Law School lecturer, former federal prosecutor, and instructor of a course literally called Cash, Crime, and the Constitution, analyzed this case publicly. What he said should keep every executive in entertainment awake for the foreseeable future. RICO lets plaintiffs tell a bigger story. Instead of one bad transaction, they argue the whole system was built to generate money illegally. Every transaction, every communication, every relationship becomes part of the pattern. He continued, courts will look past formal labels of virtual tokens and examine economic reality. The question a judge will ask is devastating. Are people sending real money? And is the system designed so that real money predictably flows to the platform? And then, class certification. If the Virginia case gets certified, this is no longer about 2 plaintiffs. It becomes about every person who used stake, every listener whose algorithmic experience was distorted, every artist whose career was suppressed by coordinated sabotage. The potential class could number in the millions. The potential damages could be extinction level.
Drake's arbitration play in New Mexico tells you everything about how his team reads those odds. Kill the proceedings before discovery forces open the vault. Because once subpoenas start compelling internal communications, platform analytics, and financial ledgers, what surfaces could make everything currently alleged look like a prologue? But the Virginia case is already in federal court. The complaint is public record. And you cannot arbitrate your way out of a RICO claim when a federal judge has already issued a binding order with a timeline stretching through the summer of 2026. That door is open. It is not closing. I will say what honesty demands. These are allegations. Drake has not been convicted. Due process exists for a reason, and it matters for everyone. But the double standard is screaming. When Drake aimed unproven allegations at Kendrick, he brought nothing. No documentation, no trail, no names. A judge discarded it without hesitation.
This case has wire transfers, named intermediaries, financial records mapping specific sums through specific platforms to specific individuals in a specific country. A federal judge who found enough substance to issue binding orders with hard deadlines. That is not speculation. That is the legal system formally declaring this demands investigation. And regardless of how the courts ultimately rule, the cultural damage is already irreversible. The one argument Drake's defenders used for an entire decade is permanently compromised: the numbers. Every debate ended the same way. Look at the streams, check the monthly listeners, count the records. The numbers do not lie. But what happens when those numbers are under active federal investigation for fraud? Every chart position, every streaming milestone, every record achieved during the period of alleged bot operations now carries an asterisk that no legal outcome can remove. Not proven fraudulent, but tainted beyond any hope of restoration. And for an artist whose entire public identity, whose entire argument for greatness, whose entire defense in every debate about hip-hop supremacy was constructed on the unimpeachable authority of his data, that is not a legal setback. That is an existential unraveling with no expiration date and no available remedy. Kendrick Lamar's position, meanwhile, grows more unassailable by the week. Now the most awarded rapper in Grammy history, a figure whose influence lives in spaces where no bot can reach and no wire transfer can purchase passage. In how people discuss hip-hop when nobody is performing for a camera. In how a generation measures authenticity against his standard. In the streets, the barbershops, the classrooms, every space where being real is the only currency that holds value. You cannot buy that from a man in Sydney. You cannot manufacture it through an offshore gambling platform. You cannot inject it into a recommendation engine and watch it multiply. It exists because it is earned, or it does not exist at all. 3 courtrooms, 3 ticking clocks, deadlines stretching through the summer. Every day without a definitive answer deepens the shadow over every number Drake's name has ever touched. The entire industry is watching. Every artist who ever suspected the game was rigged is watching. Every fan who deposited real money into stake because they watched Drake celebrate wins that were allegedly staged is watching. Every independent musician who stared at flatlined analytics, wondering why the algorithm never found their music, is watching. Because this is not just one rapper's crisis. This is about whether the system we trusted to deliver real music to our ears was hijacked from the inside by the very person it crowned as king. This is about whether the throne was built on code, click farms, and cryptocurrency instead of talent, connection, and truth. Kendrick Lamar stands as the undisputed voice of this generation, not because a machine chose him, not because a gambling platform funded his rise. The culture chose him, authentically, organically, irrevocably. With 27 Grammys and $0 routed through a tipping system to a bot vendor on the other side of the planet.
The receipts are filed, the deadlines are set, the machine is exposed, and the story this industry told itself for a decade about who truly ran hip-hop is being rewritten right now, in real time, in ink that no legal maneuver, no arbitration clause, and no amount of money will ever erase. Everything Kendrick said was right. The federal government just handed him the proof, gift-wrapped in court filings and time-stamped wire transfers. The curtain has fallen. The facade is shattered on the floor, and hip-hop is never going back to pretending it did not see what was hiding underneath the entire time. Not like us, never was, and now the whole world finally knows it. The algorithm remembers everything, and so does the culture. Always has and always will. Period.